There is a moment in every life, often quiet and unnoticed, when something small begins to shift. You lean in closer to read the ingredients on a bottle. You squint a little more at the road signs at night. Faces across the room blur for just a second longer than they used to. At first, it seems like nothing, a trick of light, a tired day, but then it becomes something else. This is not just about eyes. It is about what the eyes allow us to feel: connection, independence, confidence. And when they begin to dim, the world dims too. The print gets smaller. The stairs become uncertain. The joy of driving, reading, even cooking a favorite meal begins to fade quietly into the background. In the United States, over 12 million people over the age of 50 live with vision problems. Many of them never saw it coming. The changes were subtle until they weren't. But here's what I want you to hear. Decline is not the end of the story. The body's not finished. The eyes, though fragile, are not without hope. In many cases, this gentle descent can be slowed, even turned back. And the tools are not always what we expect. Not surgery, not medicine, food, simple, ordinary food, the kind you can find in your local grocery store, the kind you've walked past 100 times, containing the exact nutrients your aging eyes are quietly crying out for. And so today, I invite you not just to listen, but to consider this a turning point. We will walk together through 7 humble foods, each one backed by science, rooted in nature, and chosen not just for what they contain, but for what they can restore: clarity, strength, ease. This is not a prescription. It is an invitation, one that says it's not too late, not for your sight, not for your independence, not for your life. Sit with me, breathe. We begin now. The sea has always fascinated me. Not because of its storms or its waves, but because of what it holds in silence. Beneath the surface, unseen by most, life thrives in quiet rhythms, slow, persistent, and purposeful. And sometimes it is in these hidden corners of nature that we find the nourishment we need most. As we grow older, our vision begins to carry the weight of time. The sharpness we once took for granted softens. The world blurs ever so slightly around the edges, and often we look outward for answers: glasses, prescriptions, procedures. But healing, I have found, does not always come from intervention. Sometimes it comes from remembering what the earth already offers. Let us begin with something many overlook: seaweed. You may have seen it wrapped around sushi or dried into sheets at the edge of the international aisle, but few realize what power lies within this unassuming plant. Seaweed, in its many forms, carries one of the richest stores of DHA and EPA, 2 specific omega-3 fatty acids that are essential for retinal health. Our retina, the very center of sight, is where images are formed. It is also where damage begins when inflammation or age sets in. One of the leading causes of vision loss among adults over 50 is age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. It begins subtly. You squint more, you strain under bright light, and then, slowly, the world in front of you fades. Not fully, but in pieces. Seaweed intervenes in this process. Unlike fish, which also carry omega-3s, seaweed is a plant-based source. That means it's accessible, gentle on the body, and often more sustainable. Just 100 grams of seaweed can contain more DHA than a full serving of salmon. And this DHA doesn't just sit in your system, it integrates into the very membranes of your eye cells, strengthening them, soothing inflammation, and defending against degeneration. Research from the American Academy of Ophthalmology confirms this. Higher DHA intake correlates with reduced risk of AMD and improved overall visual function. But seaweed does even more. It helps with dry eyes, a condition many older adults quietly endure. The omega-3s in seaweed improve tear quality and reduce the constant burning, stinging fatigue caused by screen time or aging tear ducts. Now, how do we bring seaweed into our lives without complication? Start small. Add a tablespoon of dried seaweed flakes to your salad, soup, or scrambled eggs. Roast a sheet lightly with olive oil for a crisp snack, or pair it with avocado, which is rich in vitamin E, helping your body absorb the omega-3s more effectively. What matters is not the recipe. What matters is the rhythm. Healing comes not from novelty, but from nourishment repeated with care. And now let us turn from sea to land, from the deep green of seaweed to the golden orange of papaya. Papaya is a fruit many people associate with warm places and lazy mornings. But inside its soft flesh lies a force of protection that your eyes deeply need. Like seaweed, papaya offers more than taste. It offers a shield against light, against time, against slow internal breakdown. One medium papaya contains over 200% of your daily vitamin C intake, twice as much as an orange. That alone is remarkable. But what makes vitamin C so essential is not its quantity, but its role. Vitamin C is your eye's frontline defense against oxidative stress, a process where harmful molecules, free radicals, begin to damage tissues in the eye. These radicals are produced daily by sunlight, pollution, even emotional stress. And left unchecked, they contribute to cataracts, retinal wear, and overall clouding of vision. Vitamin C intervenes. It neutralizes these radicals, supports collagen, which gives structure to your eyes, and protects the tiny blood vessels that feed the retina. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, individuals with higher dietary vitamin C have a 30% lower risk of developing cataracts, but papaya's gift goes further. Your eyes, even when you are indoors, are constantly exposed to UV rays through windows, while driving, or just being near natural light. Over time, this exposure erodes the retina. Papaya, rich in antioxidants like beta-carotene and zeaxanthin, helps buffer this damage, preserving the tissues responsible for detail, focus, and depth. It's a quiet kind of armor, and it works best when eaten simply. Blend half a ripe papaya with a handful of spinach and a splash of lime. The spinach adds lutein and zeaxanthin, two other compounds that concentrate in the retina, defending against blue light damage. The lime enhances absorption and adds brightness. Within 5 minutes, you have a drink that doesn't just taste alive, it brings life back to your eyes. I often say, healing is not something we chase, it's something we return to, a homecoming to the body's needs, a listening, a slowing down. Seaweed and papaya do not boast, they do not demand, they wait quietly, offering their gifts to those who are ready to receive. And if you are reading this, if you are still with me, perhaps you are ready, not just to try new foods, but to build new habits. Habits that speak gently to the aging body, that say, I see you, I will care for you now as you have carried me. There is no shame in change, no weakness in needing support. The eyes that once saw so clearly are still yours, still capable of wonder, still worth nourishing. So let us begin there with a handful of seaweed, with a slice of papaya, with a breath and a choice. And know this, clarity does not belong only to the young. It belongs to the present, and the present belongs to you. There is something profoundly beautiful about simplicity. As we age, many of us begin to long for things that are no longer complicated, quiet mornings, familiar tastes, the sound of a loved one's voice, and in that simplicity, we often rediscover what is essential. So it is with nourishment. Not all healing comes from exotic sources. Some of it comes from humble ingredients, what the body remembers, what the earth has offered us for generations. Today, we turn to two such gifts, the soft, unassuming chickpea and the silvery, often overlooked sardine. Let us begin with the chickpea. You've likely seen it mashed into hummus, tossed into salads, or served warm in a simple bowl. But beneath its plain appearance lies a powerful mineral that your eyes and your body cannot function without: zinc. Zinc is not a popular nutrient. It doesn't make headlines, but in the language of the eyes, it speaks volumes. Here is why: zinc is what allows your liver to deliver vitamin A to the retina. Without enough zinc, this process weakens. Your body may have vitamin A available, but it cannot use it where it matters most. And what is the result? Night vision begins to fade. Your eyes struggle to adapt in dim settings. Driving at dusk becomes stressful. The simple act of reading a menu in a softly lit restaurant turns into a quiet frustration. What once was effortless now feels strained. This is not merely aging, it is often deficiency. According to the National Eye Institute, increasing daily zinc intake by just 2 milligrams led to a 50% improvement in dark adaptation in older adults. Half of one's night vision restored, not with medication, but with minerals. Chickpeas are among the richest plant-based sources of zinc. 1 cup of cooked chickpeas provides about 25% of your daily requirement, and they offer more protein, fiber, folate, all of which support overall eye and brain health. But it is the zinc that makes the difference in the shadows. And here's a beautiful truth. The body receives zinc best when it arrives with companions. Vitamin C, for example, increases zinc absorption. That's why pairing chickpeas with lemon juice or red bell peppers, if you still enjoy them, is not only delicious, but wise. Try this. Roast 1 cup of cooked chickpeas in the oven with olive oil, turmeric, and black pepper. Turmeric brings curcumin, an anti-inflammatory that works synergistically with zinc. And a final squeeze of lemon before serving not only brightens the flavor, but deepens the benefit. Food at its best is like friendship. Each part supports the other. Now let us shift from earth to sea, from the quiet density of the chickpea to the glistening strength of the sardine. Sardines are small, overlooked, sometimes dismissed, but they carry inside them one of the most potent combinations of eye-supporting nutrients in existence. Omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA, vitamin D, and protein. A single serving offers all 3 without needing a supplement, a label, or a brand name. Let's start with the omega-3s. These fatty acids reduce inflammation in the retina, and that matters deeply because inflammation is one of the hidden forces behind vision loss in older adults. It doesn't announce itself with pain, it creeps, it dulls, it erodes. When the retina becomes inflamed, it begins to break down. That is the path to age-related macular degeneration, AMD. A condition that makes reading, driving, and recognizing faces more and more difficult. But omega-3s intervene. According to the British Journal of Ophthalmology, people with higher omega-3 intake had a 39% lower risk of developing AMD. That's not marginal, that's meaningful. Sardines also bring vitamin D, a nutrient often forgotten, yet essential. 1 small can of sardines provides nearly twice your daily requirement. And vitamin D plays 2 vital roles here. It supports immune function and reduces inflammation system-wide, including in the eyes. If you've noticed light sensitivity, eye fatigue, or even mild headaches after reading or using screens, your body may be quietly asking for more of these nutrients. Sardines offer them simply. Warm a can gently. Serve on whole grain toast with olive oil, fresh parsley, and a squeeze of lemon. In that one dish, you're supporting blood flow, calming inflammation, boosting zinc absorption, and giving your body what it cannot produce on its own. And perhaps most importantly, you are choosing consistency over complexity. There's a great wisdom in returning to simple foods. I have met people in their 70s and 80s who believed their eyesight was beyond repair, who had given up on night driving, who avoided reading menus, knitting, or walking alone after sunset. But then, with gentle changes, a spoonful of chickpeas, a serving of sardines a few times a week, the light began to return, not perfectly, but enough to matter, enough to feel safer, more confident, more themselves. This is the true power of food. It restores not only function, but dignity. I offer no promises, no miracle cures, but I do offer a path, one that says you still have influence, you still have choice, and your body still listens quietly, patiently to what you give it each day. Let this be your reminder. Healing does not always require a breakthrough. Sometimes it begins with what is already in your pantry. So open the cupboard, soften the chickpeas, unwrap the sardines, and begin again, softly, steadily, simply. Not everything precious comes in shining packages. Some things like wisdom or strength or healing are hidden beneath rough, quiet exteriors. They are not flashy. They don't ask to be noticed. And yet, when we look closer, we find something profound. So it is with the oyster. Most people think of oysters as luxury, something for special occasions or for the young and adventurous. But beneath their craggy shell lies one of the most powerful natural sources of healing for the aging eye. Not because they are trendy, not because they are rare, but because they are rich, rich in a mineral that your eyes depend on more than almost anything else: zinc. Zinc is not glamorous. It doesn't taste sweet or smell fragrant, but it is essential. Without zinc, your eyes cannot process vitamin A, the very nutrient required to produce melanin, the pigment that protects your eyes from light damage. Without enough melanin, you become more sensitive to glare. Your ability to adapt in darkness weakens. Your risk of macular degeneration and cataracts increases. Quietly, steadily, inevitably. This is not theory. This is function. According to the American Optometric Association, increasing zinc intake has been shown to reduce the risk of advanced age-related macular degeneration, AMD, by up to 25%. A quarter of the risk cut away not through surgery or pills, but through consistent nourishment. And here is where the oyster stands alone. Just 6 medium oysters contain over 500% of your daily zinc needs. That is more than any other food by far. Not in a supplement, not in a synthetic capsule, but in its natural, unprocessed form, balanced with other trace minerals your body understands. I often say, nature rarely gives us too much of anything unless it also gives us what we need to absorb it wisely. The oyster is proof of that. Now, let us pause for a moment. You may be thinking, oysters, I've never eaten them. They seem foreign, complicated. But they're not. Like many good things in life, they only ask for a bit of curiosity. And once you begin, they ask for little else. You don't need to eat them raw. You don't need a fancy sauce. Simply steam them or grill them gently just until they open. Their flavor, subtle and oceanic, carries with it the memory of salt, thyme, and deep nourishment. Top with a splash of vinegar and finely chopped shallots, or serve them with steamed spinach, a leafy green rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 compounds that protect your retina from blue light. That combination, zinc and antioxidants, is like building both a shield and a sanctuary around your vision. And if you've had eye surgery or struggle with chronic irritation, zinc offers something more: support for tissue repair. Recovery, as many of us have learned, slows with age, but it doesn't stop. Zinc helps accelerate healing, especially in delicate tissues like those found in the cornea and retina. So if you've experienced eye strain, prolonged dryness, or if your vision seems slower to recover after brightness, your body may be quietly calling for zinc. And few foods answer that call like the oyster. But this story, of course, is not just about one mineral. It's about the act of choosing nourishment that speaks to where you are in life, not where you once were. As we grow older, the question is no longer, what can I eat to feel full? But rather, what can I eat to feel whole? Oysters do not rush. They form slowly, layer by layer, filtering the ocean through patience and time. In this way, they are not so different from us. Aging well is not about clinging to youth. It is about choosing again and again to sustain the inner life through quiet rituals, steady care, and a willingness to soften into change. I remember an old friend, Harold. He was in his late 70s when we first spoke about oysters. I've avoided them my whole life, he admitted, laughing. They always looked like something from another planet. But after learning about zinc and how it might help with his worsening night vision, he gave it a try. Once a week, on Sunday evenings, he would steam a few oysters, sit by the window, and eat them slowly. It became a ritual, not just of nourishment, but of gratitude. 3 months later, he told me, I can drive at night again, not far, but I don't fear it anymore. That is the kind of healing I believe in. Not magic, not sudden, but meaningful. You may not see dramatic change overnight, But your eyes, if given what they need, zinc, antioxidants, rest, will thank you in their own quiet way, through clearer focus, less irritation, more resilience against the glare of oncoming headlights, a greater ability to remain present in the world around you. So let this be your reminder. Sometimes the most elegant solutions are hidden in the simplest forms. The oyster, rough on the outside, luminous within, carries a mineral that your eyes have been asking for, not with words, but with weariness, with dryness, with a slow fading of the world's edges. You can respond, not with force, not with fear, but with gentleness. Steam, squeeze, sip, serve it warm, share it if you can, or enjoy it alone with soft music and silence. Because caring for your sight is not just a biological act, it is a spiritual one. You are choosing to remain engaged with life, to see clearly not just the page in front of you, but the moments that give your days meaning. The oyster waits quietly, and perhaps now so do you, ready to begin again with what is small and enough. Not everything that heals comes with sound. Some gifts arrive quietly, so small they disappear in your palm, so subtle they go unnoticed. And yet, when given time, they change everything. This is the wisdom of the chia seed, tiny, weightless, unassuming, often forgotten on shelves or dismissed as a health trend. But what most don't realize is that these seeds have been healing bodies for centuries. The ancient peoples of the Americas once carried them on long journeys, not for flavor, but for endurance, for strength, for clarity. And as we age, that's exactly what the eyes require: clarity, strength, endurance. Let me explain.